Hello, welcome once again to another edition of Entertainment Ireland. We have a great show lined up for you tonight. Among our guests will be Ireland's favourite comedian, Brendan Grace will be dropping in for a chat. A young singer-songwriter from Dublin called Casey O'Connor, who has a very moving story to tell. Michael Fox has some more emerging new Irish talents. But my first guest is one of Ireland's favourite folk singers, the lovely Eleanor Shanley. Eleanor, you're very welcome to the programme.
It's lovely to be here, Henry.
Yeah, of course you come from a very musical background, don't you, in County Leitrim?
I do, in County Leitrim. Well, I think it's kind of your typical Irish musical background in that my mother and all her family were singers. And if there were family parties, whether you could or couldn't sing, you had to sing. So it made for interesting kind of sing-songs.
Yes, and of course the music of John McCormick and Delia Murphy were everywhere in the
Absolutely,
house.
and particularly with my mother, they loved all the ballads, and all Delia Murphy would have been top of the heap there for sure. And subsequently, she'd be one of my favourite singers. I love people like Edith Piaf, and I put her in that same. She's our Irish Edith Piaf, or Edith Piaf is the French Delia Murphy.
Yes, yeah. And did you always wanted to be a ballad singer as such?
I always wanted to sing, and I've done different types. I love country music as well, but certainly from I was a child, if there was anyone called to the house, I had a brother younger than me, and I'd drag him out and I'd say, "You go in and ask them to ask me to sing." So
lovely.
We had very few visitors to the house.
Anyway, eventually you went off to work in Dublin,
Yes.
state agency job, yes.
In Foss for the P&P job,
Yeah.
which lasted quite a few years.
Right.
But
of course you kept up the sessions.
I kept up the sessions, and the singing was always kind of the most important thing in my life, and it was the place I was always more comfortable and happy. That was where my happiness. And I studied drama at night time as well, but through the sessions, that's how I ended up in Dedanan.
Lovely. And I was going to say then you joined them, but you didn't like actually mixing with audiences. You didn't. You were kind of shy of audiences,
I
weren't
was
you?
terrified of them.
Yeah.
And it took me years to realise that the audience is actually your friend. They come to see you because they want to enjoy a show, not because they want to judge you, you know.
Yeah.
And especially if I saw a musician in the room, that was it. I wouldn't be able to open my mouth, and I'd be really nervous for the, you know.
And with the Dannon, did that change all of...
Yeah, for years of practice. And now I love chatting to audiences. Like, I remember the first gig we did in Wales, and I'd never really spoken to an audience before because it was always sessions. And I was going out on the stage, and I said to one of the lads in the band, "You'll introduce the songs." He said, No, you do that yourself. I was like, oh. So I think every song was, and this song is called, and this song is called. That was...
Yeah, and indeed you recorded some lovely songs around that time as well, didn't you?
I did. The first song I ever recorded was Phil Colclough's "The Call and the Answer," and Phil would be probably his most famous song would be "Song for Ireland," and Phil and June, his wife, wrote "The Call and the Answer." Carrick Fergus,
beautiful,
all those, they were on the first album.
Yes.
And then I was lucky enough to be involved with Dedanan when we took on the gospel singers. So we made the gospel album Half Set in Harlem, and that was fun. And we toured it, and that was an amazing experience.
Yes, yeah.
Because
and you experimented with the Beatles songs as well around that time as well. Hey Jude.
Hey Jude had just been before my time, but it's always been part of the Dedanan thing to kind of
experiment
and branch into different types of music. Yeah. The last album we did Wonderwalls, and apart from having another Delia Murphy song on it, we had a young lad from Oranmore, Cian Finn, who's a Rastafarian. Right. And he did quite a lot of singing with us, and so there was sort of a reggae hint in there as well.
Yeah. Now, after Dedanan, you went solo. No regrets there, no?
None at all. I'd spent 5 years with them, and I wanted to sing more. I wanted to kind of do my own thing.
And did you give up the day job then at that stage?
I'd given up the day job 2 weeks after I joined Dedanan. We went to Wales, Finland and Sweden, and I came back 2 weeks later and said...
And you gave up the pensionable job.
I did.
Yes, how the family feel about it?
The family, I couldn't believe it, because I thought they'd be going, oh, no, it's a very precarious life, which it is. So you don't go into the music business expecting to have the wage at the end of the week. But it just was natural for me, and they knew I was happiest there. So they've been so supportive all the way.
And they knew you had the talent, of course, which goes along. And what a lot of people don't realise is that you were the only female singer in Ireland that's ever recorded with the Dubliners.
Yes, I was lucky enough to be with Dedanan at the time, and the Dubliners were doing their 30 Years of Graham album, So I ended up doing 2 songs. That's how my relationship started with Ronnie Drew, really. The first song we did was Boots of Spanish Leather, and I think The Circle Be Unbroken or something. But yeah, I am the only woman to have recorded with them. But I think maybe they thought I was a man at the time. It was the days I had a beard. Things have changed since then.
And of course you went on to do that lovely album then with Friends, and Ronnie Drew you mentioned there, a great friend of yours, and a couple of more years and songs like that. That was a great album you did that time.
I really enjoyed it because we had Dolores Kane was on it, Ray Lynham, Desi O'Halloran, Charlie McGettigan, there was Christy Hennessy, the late Christy Hennessy. It was a great lineup, Eddie Reader, and it was great fun doing it. I like collaborating with people anyway, because it kind of motivates me when I'm collaborating with other people. So.
Well, I believe, of course, Ronnie was a big loss to you, wasn't he?
Absolutely, because we worked together for 12 years and we did 2 albums together, the couple more years, and then we did one called El Amor de mi Vida shortly before he died. And I miss him because Ronnie used to ring, and he'd ring nearly every day, and I'm terrible on the telephone. I don't like telephone conversations. And he'd be asking, how was your mother? How was John? How was this? How was that? And I'd be like, okay, bye. I said, what's your hurry? Where are you going? You know. But
well, you're going back into the studios again now because you have a great project coming up, haven't you?
I'm in actually doing my first solo album for about maybe 15 years, I'd say, because I've done Eleanor and Friends, and I've done a few with Didan and with Ronnie, but I haven't done my own. So this is a solo one. It'll be out early New Year.
And you're working with like Johnny Duhan and...
I actually, just today we did a single for
Oh yeah,
Vincent
charity
Paul,
single,
but
yes.
It's a charity single. There's be loads and loads of singers on, Mary Coughlin, Dolores, Sean Kane, and people. So look out for that for Christmas.
So that's a charity. Do you know the title of it yet?
It's a song called Part of the Tribe.
Lovely, and that's
and
coming out as a single for Christmas.
That'll be out for Christmas.
For charity,
yeah,
for Vincent Paul. Lovely. Now you're touring a lot as well, aren't you?
I am. Yeah, I'm flat out heading. Well, a few things around Ireland. We're doing the steeple sessions on the 17th of October in the Catholic University Church in Dublin, and then we head for Norway before that, and then I have a Danish tour of almost a month in Denmark. Denmark is a great little territory for me.
Yeah,
so.
all the Scandinavian countries seem to love your music up there.
Yeah, happy days.
Yes, yeah.
Long may it last. It's great.
Well, look at Eleanor, it's great to have had you on the programme today. And good luck with the single, the album, and of course the tour coming up again. And we're going to go out now with a song that you've chosen yourself. This is from your days with the Dannon, actually.
It is indeed. Yeah. It's a Richard Thompson song. I'm a huge Richard Thompson fan, and it's a song really about, I think it's appropriate in the times that are in it with the state of the world. It's about a soldier in a war situation and trying to deal with the realities around him and what he faces when he goes back to his own life. It's called How Will I Ever Be Simple Again?
Lovely. Here it is from Eleanor Shanley, and thanks once again for joining us.
Thank you, Henry. Pleasure.
Teach me to see with your innocent eyes, love. Oh, how will I ever be simple again? Oh, how will I ever be simple again?
Hello and welcome back to the show. Well, as you know, every week we are joined by our resident entertainment correspondent, Michael Fox, to take a look at more emerging new Irish talents. And Michael, you have some interesting guests for us this week
yes,
again.
Henry, yeah, good to be back with you again on the programme. Yeah, I've got 3 more very interesting singers for you. The first one I'm going to talk about is Bat Kinnan. He's a singer, musician and a talented songwriter from County Wicklow, a little place called Ballyknocken, which is a village with a rich musical heritage. At the age of 13, he took up the guitar and he was inspired by the lyrics and music of Phil Lynott of Thin Lizzy. Following on from that, he played with many different bands, and his music embraces rock, folk, blues, and country. And last August, he won the Sean McCarthy ballad competition in County Kerry with a song that he wrote himself entitled Mary.
Lovely. Well, congratulations on winning that competition.
Yeah.
The great Sean McCarthy, of course, who wrote some great songs like Shanna Gold.
Yeah, fabulous songwriter.
Right, so here is Bat Kinnan and his own composition called Mary.
It was on one sunny daffodil day, right about the beginning of May. Kicking back a ball, I heard Mary say, "Come on, children, it's time to pray." Well, I tried to hide, but it was too late. It was broad daylight at 8:30. She said, "Come on, child, make some haste. We haven't got any time to waste." We formed a circle, went down on her knees. She took from her pocket red rosary beads. She said, "Quiet now, children, please." She rattled off 4 mysteries. We prayed for the sick, we prayed for the poor, we prayed for the sun and the moon, I'm sure. And every other day for the month of May, I heard Mary call when I was out to play. No souls were lost, no souls were saved. That was long ago and times have changed. Looking back now, it seems so strange. Some carry the cross, some carry the nails.
Well, we hope you enjoyed Bat Kinnan there and his song Mary. Right, Michael, we're going to Mullingar for our next artist.
We are. I'd like to introduce you to Camillus Egerton. He's a singer-musician from Dalystown, Mullingar in County Westmeath. Very active on the local country music scene. His love of music was encouraged by his parents and his own family background. His musical influences would be Johnny Cash, Porter Wagner, George Jones, Merle Haggard, some of the greats there of the American country music scene. He recently released a new album entitled Singing the Legends, a tribute to some of the legendary singers and songwriters of country music. And here he is with an earlier recording of a great song, Golden Ring.
Of course, this was written by the great George Jones.
It was indeed, yes.
All right, so here is Camillus Egerton and that classic country song, Golden Ring.
In a pawn shop in Chicago on a sunny summer day, a couple gazes at the wedding rings there on display. She smiles and nods her head as he says, "Honey, that's for you. It's not much, but it's the best that I can do." Golden ring, with one tiny little stone, waiting there for someone to take it home by itself. It's just a cold metallic thing. Only love can make a golden wedding ring. In a little wedding chapel later on that afternoon, an old upright piano plays that old familiar tune. Tears roll down her cheeks and happy thoughts run through her head as he whispers low, "With this ring Addie wed." Golden ring, with one tiny little stone, shining ring. Now at last it's found a home by itself. It's just a cold metallic thing. Only love can make a golden wedding ring.
Well, that was a great version of the George Jones song, Golden Ring. Well, Michael, your final guest for us today.
Jim McKee, singer, songwriter, actor, professional artist, and a former All-Ireland champion boxer. Originally from Cookstown in County Tyrone, but for the last 12 years living in Bellharbour in the Burn region of North County Clare.
Lovely part of the world.
Oh, beautiful. Now, as a singer, he's toured with the Chieftains and Ocean Colour Scene, and his music has brought him to Cannes, Newport, and numerous worldwide film festivals. He's been a professional artist since 2001, and he's exhibited his work throughout Ireland and France.
So the song we're going to hear from, this is his own composition as well.
It is, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so here we are. Goodness Comes from the Heart from Jim McKee. Now, before we play, can I just remind you that if you have a talent and you'd like to be featured in our up-and-coming talent spot, well then just send a CV and a music DVD, if you have one, to Frame Productions, Claremorris, County Mayo. We'd love to hear from you. It doesn't matter if you're a singer, if you're part of a band, if you are a comedian or a film director or a dancer, we'd love to hear from you. So remember the address, Frame Productions, Claremorris, County Mayo. And Michael, you'll have more artists for us again next week.
I'll have 3 more for you next week, Henry.
Lovely. So here we are with Jim McKee.
Monet was soft to last, find love in a brothel. Goodness came and goodness comes to the heart. A baby in the bosom of a mother's warmth. Stand below in a Chicago boulevard. There's diamonds on the lake, I'll cover you in gold. A veteran stood out in the cold. Goodness came and goodness comes from the heart. 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 Stayed in bed all day.
Welcome back, folks. My next guest is a singer-songwriter who started off her music career at the tender age of 5. But not only that, she has a very moving story to tell. She's from Dublin. Katie O'Connell, you're very welcome indeed,
Thank
Katie.
you for having me.
Yeah. Katie, been on starting at the tender age of 5. Obviously, there must be some music in the family somewhere.
Yeah, well, my mum has always loved to sing, and my dad was a drummer in lots of different bands, and he went, you know, travelling with his band all over the place. So, yeah, it's all musical in my family.
And does he still do a bit of drumming?
Yeah, he would do some drumming with like a local band that he formed, and they just play in local pubs and places they can get, but it's nothing like what he used to do.
Right. Now, you started, I said, at the age of 5. By 9, you were on there. What were you doing at the Olympia Theatre in Dublin?
Well, I was with a stage school in Maheny called Live Wire, and we would all like perform a big show in the Olympia Theatre, and I was just singing there. They got me to sing and act.
You enjoyed
and
the
stuff.
experience,
yeah,
did you?
Loved it.
Yeah. You went back then again with Jedward, weren't you?
Yeah,
The
I was
pantomime.
in two of the pantomimes, just dancing, but it was so good.
Yeah. Before we talk about the single you have coming out, just to give people a flavour of your talent here, you're going to do a little Ed Sheeran number.
Yeah.
You're a big fan of Ed Sheeran. What I'm amazed about you, I know you like Christina Aguilera and Beyonce and Ed Sheeran, they'd be favorite. But I'm fascinated to know where the interest came from, the likes of such legends as Ella Fitzgerald, Dean Martin, and Aretha Franklin.
Well, my dad loves listening to that kind of stuff, and my nan introduced me to Dean Martin and people like that. And my mum showed me Ella Fitzgerald, and I fell in love with her. I love her voice. Yeah. But it was more my dad who showed me all that, because he's really that's his real style of music, and he loves Johnny Cash and all that kind of style. So that's how I...
And is there anybody else in the family that's into the music like you are?
Well, they all love music.
Yeah. Well, you have brothers and sisters and that?
Oh, well, my brother and sister are a lot younger than I am, but my sister sings all the time, so...
Does she? All right.
So, yeah.
Well, listen, I said we're going to take, just give people a feel of your talent here. You brought the guitar with you.
Yeah.
You're going to do a little Ed Sheeran number for us, all right? Okay, we'll just... what's this one called?
Thinking Out Loud.
Thinking Out Loud, okay. Well, here's Katie O'Connor performing live for us here in the studio with the lovely Ed Sheeran song, Thinking Out Loud.
When your legs don't work like they used to before, and I can't sweep you off of your feet, will your mouth still remember the taste of my love? Will your eyes still smile from your cheeks? And darling, I will be loving you till we're 70. And baby, my heart can still fall as hard at 23. I'm thinking about how people fall in love in mysterious ways. Maybe it's all part of a plan. Or may I fall in love with you every single day, and I just wanna show who I am, baby, now. Take me into your loving arms, kiss me under the light of 1,000 stars, place your hand on my beating heart, thinking out loud, baby, we found love right where we are. Ooh. When my hair's overgone and my memory fades, and the crowds don't remember my name, when my hands don't play the strings the same way, oh, I know you will still love me the same. Oh, baby, your soul can never grow old, it's evergreen. And baby, your smile's forever in my mind and memory. Ooh, I'm thinking about how people fall in love in mysterious ways. Maybe at the touch of a hand. May I keep on making the same mistakes, hoping that you'll understand that, baby, now. Take me into your loving arms, kiss me under the light of 1,000 stars, place your hand on my beating heart, thinking out, baby, we found love right where we are. La 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 la.
That was beautiful now, Katie. Well done. And I noticed that you're left-handed as well.
Yeah, I
Was
am.
that more difficult then to learn the guitar being left-handed?
It was and it wasn't. Like when we went to the guitar shop to buy a guitar, the guy said I should learn right-handed, but I didn't want to. So, yeah, it was.
Well, you're up there with legends like Paul McCartney and Jimi
Yeah.
Hendrix, so you're in good company, I can tell you
Yeah.
that. Did you enjoy the experience? You were 12 years of age when you went into the studios to do a
Yeah.
record, weren't you? Pretty young, yeah. How did you enjoy that?
I loved it. It was a great experience because I'd never seen anything like that before, and it was great to just see what everything looked like. And
Yes. And how did that come about? Were you invited in to somebody to saw your talents and invited you in to
it
record?
was actually the panto that I was doing. The musical director David Hayes, my singing teacher, they were related, so she was able to get me to go into the studio because she was so close with him, and it just started from that.
Lovely. Now, which is going to bring us to the main reason why you're here, of course.
Yeah.
And it's a new single that you have, and it has a very special significance. The song now, you wrote it yourself.
Yeah.
It's been recorded in the studios and that. What's it called again?
Just Too Young.
Just Too Young. And this is dedicated to your cousin, Molly McNally. Now, Molly's very special, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell us about her.
Well, she was diagnosed when she was 5 with stage 4 neuroblastoma, and that's a childhood cancer, and it forms in the nervous system, and it's a really aggressive form of cancer. But when it progresses to stage 4, it's at its worst because it's when it's at its most aggressive stage. And we were just heartbroken. And you wouldn't even know she's sick because she's just so full of life, and she's always up running around, and she's a big smile on her face.
I believe the Dublin football team have taken her on as their mascot.
Oh yeah, a friend of my granddad's actually knows the manager, so he was able to get a few of the Dublin players to come to my nanny and granddad's house with the Sam Maguire and took pictures. Yeah, and then we posted the pictures up on Twitter on her page, and then a local fan page, the Hill 16 Army, seen a picture of her and they started following her, and then she became the mascot of that page, and then they got her to be the mascot of the team.
Now, there's also been a major fundraising drive to raise funds for the treatment of that. I think to date you've raised over 125,000 euros.
yeah.
Quite incredible. How did you manage to raise so much?
Just fundraising. We were just doing everything we could, and everyone was helping. Everyone was such a big help, and I don't think we would have been able to get that much without everyone's support, and it's been great, yeah.
And the song now, you're dedicating it to her. You have it recorded, and we'll be putting up all the details on the entertainmentireland.tv website. So if you want to make a donation or you want more information about young Molly and keep in touch with what's going on, well then just check on that page. We'll have all the information up there. Now the video is absolutely great because you went to Wicklow to do it. You had a full choir and everything.
They were brilliant.
Yeah.
I didn't know, I didn't even think anything would happen with the song, and then this big production happens and it's just amazing.
Yeah, and you're getting fantastic feedback on the song, aren't you? From people in the music media as well as on Twitter and Facebook and everything like that.
Yeah.
So is singing and writing going to be your future career, do you think?
Well, I'd love it
Katie?
to be. I don't want to do anything else, so it's kind of what I'd want to do, yeah.
And I suppose you have to do all the schooling and the...
Yeah, finish school, as my mum says.
Yeah, and do you, as they say, what about the day job? What would you like to do apart from singing? What would you like to work at?
I don't know. I'd love to... Well, I want to do something with music anyway, and even be a singing teacher or a music teacher or something. I don't know, nothing but music. I just want to have music in my life.
And I believe there's a couple of record companies interested in signing you up, and management agencies and all of that. So, I mean, it's a big step, isn't it, for you in that? Yeah,
it's mad.
Yeah, and do you intend to go back into the studios to record some more stuff?
Yeah, I think I will be soon. Once we get the single out and everything starts happening, and we'll just see what happens.
That's kind of your priority, to see Molly get well and that.
So we'll feature the song now. This is Katie and her own composition, Just Too Young. And we'll see you after the break.
You were born into this world while we waited by your side. You took 2 steps when you were 1, and you never even cried. Your sunset hair glows in the light. It's so beautiful to see. You need so much time to be who you're gonna be. Oh, everything is changing. The news, it spreads so fast. Oh, you can take for granted the life you thought would last. Oh, you're just too young to go. Oh, you're just too young to go. Oh, baby, you need to grow and live a life of your own, 'cause you're just too young to go. You haven't even started school, which makes it way more cruel. Still they let the days go by. And as I think, I wonder, will you ever get to see or have a house with your own key? Now everything is changing. The news, it spreads so fast. You can take for granted the life you thought would last. Now you're just too young to go. Now you're just too young to go. Oh, baby, you need to grow and live a life of your own, 'cause you're just too young to go. So we'll have to hope, we'll have to sit and pray that this news will go away.
Well, my next guest is probably one of Ireland's most favourite entertainers. He's been the top of his profession for over 40 years.
That's a lie.
And he's undoubtedly Ireland's top comedian. Brendan, nice to have you on the
Henry,
programme.
I'm delighted to be here.
Yeah.
And it's a lovely flat you have. Absolutely lovely. Finished when it's finished.
Brendan, you've just finished a summer tour.
Yeah. I have just finished the summer tour and it went very well. Mm-hmm. It's a smaller tour than my usual one. But because I live in America nowadays, a lot of the time I spend there and touring in Canada and Australia and that, it's great to come back to Ireland.
Mm-hmm. And your audiences, do you find different now over the years? Are newer type, are younger people coming to your shows now?
They'll soon be dead. No, my audiences have been always very general, from young up to very elderly. And that's one of the great things, because I get a chance to ply my trade in the tradition that it was at the beginning.
But people still love the old favourites like
there's
Butler
no
and
doubt,
all
yeah.
that, yes. And you ever
I mean,
get
the
tired
Father
of
of the
it?
Bride.
Yes, brilliant.
I have to do that everywhere.
Yes, yeah. And the fact, did you do that for Sinatra at one stage?
Yeah, I'll never forget it. I did it for Sinatra, Sammy Davis and Liza Minnelli in a room this size. And they had just finished the feed of bacon and cabbage. And they were welcome to Ireland. It was just a pub. And his minders drilled me outside before he met him. You can't do this, you can't do that. You can't. I said, the Father of the Bride, drunk. Oh, you can't do a drunk act. And then I looked in at these, you know, he was smoking like a fiend, drinking like a devil. And I said, why shouldn't I do it? So I took a chance. and I brought him onto his knees. He came down on his knees, and Sammy Davis with him. I wish I had photographs of that.
Yes.
To show that they were knocked out.
Yeah. And I think he subsequently invited you to America, did he?
Oh, he
wanted
did.
you to...
He invited me to his agency, and Sammy Davis, unfortunately, passed away shortly afterwards. He was actually sick then. And I mean, on the night of the show that I done for them, he tried to put his arms, he tried to give me a hug, and so his arms wouldn't go around me. So he just big, cuddly Mike Tyson bear, you know.
Yeah.
But they became good friends.
Brendan, probably one of the reasons you've stayed on top for so long is the fact that you don't use any swear language. It's an all-family show, isn't it, really?
Yeah, well, you see, the reason for that, Henry, is very simple. Because when I started off in the business, nobody used it. Like, it wasn't strict, but it was politically correct.
Well, would people say that that's an old-fashioned thing now?
Well, fortunately for me, it is. Because a lot of comedy today, as you know, is blue, but it's also angry.
Yes.
I find it very angry. And I find that comedians, whilst I love all kinds of comedy, I find that they don't dress like they used to. I still wear a tuxedo. I wear a dicky bow. I still say good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I still take a bow when I'm finished. And it has survived the test of time.
Well, let's take a clip of you in action and why you have and why people enjoy your entertainment so much. Here you are, and this particular piece, it's down in Clarenbridge in County Galway. We'll have a look at it.
Yes.
There was a cousin of mine, and this guy is about the same age as me, and he's a very wonderful person, Matty. We think a lot of him in the family. But, you know, he had a bit of a problem drinking. He had a bit of a problem. He says, with all this thing about driving and drinking, and he says, sometimes in the past I have been careless and I may have driven, perhaps when I had a drink too much, but from now on, he says, I've changed my ways, and that's it. I'm finished driving. He says, I'll drink, but I certainly will never take a chance to him. And I have to say, in fairness to him, all over the Christmas period, he came home from the pub every night drunk, but walking, just walking. But then Easter Sunday, that's when the bubble burst. He had been drinking on Easter Sunday, and he was on his way home from the pub early in the day. It was in the afternoon. He was either been drinking in a well-known pub close to the city of Galway, and he decided, that's it. So he's walking home. He lives in Limerick. And he's walking home, and apparently, as he came through the town of Clarenbridge, he noticed a very large gathering of people gathered around the river at the bridge. And they were being addressed by a preacher, and Matty was getting itchy feet. And Matty comes forward and stands in front of the evangelist, and the evangelist knew, looking at him, this could be a problem. He knew by the look of Matty, this fella's either having a few sherbets and I'm going to have a problem with him. And he says, hallelujah. Hallelujah. Do you believe in God? Because I do. Saints be praised. And he put his hand on Matty's neck and he pushed his head forward into the water and he pulled it back out again. Did you see Jesus? No! So now the evangelist has to think. And he figures, I'll try it again, but I'm going to have a problem. This time, he said, hallelujah. Hallelujah again. Do you believe in God? Because I do still. Saints be praised. And he put his hand on the back of Matty's neck and he pushed his head forward again into the water. A little further into the water. And pulls it out again. Did you see Jesus? No sign of him at all. Now the evangelist has a serious problem. And this time the evangelist reacts. And he grabbed a hold of the back of Matty's neck like that, and the hair and the shirt and the collar, and you could almost hear the evangelist saying, you'll see him this time. You are drunken bastard. And with that, he pushed his head into the water and he put his foot on it like that. And he held his head under the water for 4 minutes. Everybody's fascinated. All they can see is bubbles coming up everywhere. Bubbles all over the place. They thought he was drowned, and then he pulls him back out. He says, now, did you see Jesus? And Matty says, are you sure? Are you sure this is where he fell in?
Brendan, that was a great story there, Karen Bridge.
It was probably true.
Now, some of the comedians today, you have the Dara Breens, the Des Bishops and the Tommy Tierns and that. What's your own take on all the modern day comedians?
As I said before, I have great respect for all comedy because it is a difficult medium, and they're all doing very well. Brendan O'Carroll has made a movie,
yes,
as well as the series. He started off his career with me as a roadie. Brendan did. Yeah. I had him on the television for the first time. I also had Dermot Morgan, the late, great Dermot Morgan, Father Ted. I had him on the television for the first time. So I have some prodigies.
Very good. And speaking of Father Ted, actually, I think I remember you saying once before that few minutes you did in Father Ted has made you famous more outside of Ireland than here in Ireland, because everybody knows you in Ireland, but particularly in the UK and Australia, places like that where Father Ted is shown.
Well, I remember the late David Kelly, the great actor, and he was in Fawlty Towers for about the same length as I was in Father Ted. And he said that 8 minutes in Fawlty Towers, he'd done the Abbey, he'd done movies, done everything. That 8 minutes, it was the most magnified piece he ever done. And it was the same with me and Father Ted.
Yeah. And to this day it's still the same, isn't it?
Yes, it certainly is. I mean, I played the part of a priest. I had never seen the series when they gave me. I went for the audition, and I just did a particular voice, a very sleazy fella who spoke like that. Yeah. If you ever say that again, I'll put your head through the wall.
Yeah. And how do you find audiences now abroad? I know you've toured Scotland, you've done England, and of course America and Canada, all these places. And that. Do you find the audiences much different and harder to integrate with your show?
Not really, because when I play in these places like in England or in America or wherever, I'm usually playing to an Irish expat audience. And the sort of stuff that I do is what they want to hear.
Now, you're living in Florida for a long time now, Brendan.
21 years this year.
Yeah. So you come over to Ireland once or twice a year. What are the changes you see in Ireland? Do things stand out for you that you notice?
Well, we moved there as a family, 21 years ago. And then 3 of my adult children emigrated from Florida to Boston and New York. But when I come back to Ireland, I'm never out of it long enough to see major changes. But Ireland has changed.
And the characters that you based your comedy on, probably all gone now, are they? The characters?
A lot of them are. But as a Dublin Jackeen, which I am, I have been very well accepted from the start in the rural parts of Ireland. I mean, I introduced a character called Butler. And Butler is a schoolboy who has unthinkable habits, and people in the country accepted that.
Yeah, they love Butler. Great. Yeah, they love Butler. Now you're coming back again to Ireland, Brendan, at the end of the year. Of course, you do a major tour in the new year.
I do, and it'll coincide with the release of my new DVD, Pure Gold, and I do a major tour at Christmas into January, February, March. And in that tour, I'd be travelling all over the country. And I'll be doing some nights in the Cork Opera House.
You nearly do a week down there alone.
Yes,
such
I
as
do.
the man
and
for
the
you.
Gazy's Theatre in Dublin.
Yes, which is fantastic. These
It's
years.
absolutely great to be still doing it and to be still liking it.
Exactly,
I still love it.
And what about England? Would you like to do some more work in England, Scotland, places
I
like
would
that?
now. When I started off, Henry, I was very. I did a lot of work in England, and I know poor old Lord rest Joe Dolan, and I used to meet Joe over there, and people like Brendan Moyer, who were my idols.
Yes.
And I played a lot more in England then. Then I stopped playing over there for a while. It got very busy here. And I did a tour of England last year and it was fantastic. And I intend to do more.
Yeah, your fans over there will be delighted.
Scotland.
Yeah.
I
Because they're
think
very
Scotland-
similar to Ireland, aren't they?
Scottish people watching, you deserve me.
I would imagine they'd love your style of
That's
comedy.
great. I
that's,
tell you, it really
Yeah.
is. The few shows I have done in Scotland were great. But I would like to do.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
sure
a
they'll be
lot
looking
more.
forward to you going back there. Brendan, over the years, of course, you've done a little bit of singing. You've a great voice, but you've never brought it to the fore in recent years. And I remember one of the songs going back years ago called "The Dutchman," which was
that
a
was
beautiful song. Yeah.
yeah.
And I know you started off your career singing in that, didn't you?
I did. I started off with a ballad group 45 years ago. And I was a singer only in that group. But whenever they'd break strings, I was pushed forward to tell jokes. And that's how the comedy came in. And I've always enjoyed singing. I mean,
In fact, you had a #1 hit that time, was it, with Cushy Butterfield?
Cushy Butterfield.
Yes, I remember.
She's a big lass on the money, lass, and she. That was #1 for me in the charts.
Yes, yeah.
Goodness me.
It's time for another #1, Brendan.
Daniel O'Donnell wasn't even born then.
Yes.
Good Lord tonight. I'm ancient, I think.
Well, do you intend to do an album of songs?
Yeah, well, I have an album out now, a CD album called Songs for the Gathering. And Songs for the Gathering was so successful as a CD that I'm making a DVD of it next year of scenes from around Ireland matched up with the songs.
Lovely,
Songs like, you know, The Banks of My Own Lovely, Take You Home Again, Kathleen, Shanna Golden.
Evergreen songs.
Beautiful evergreens.
Yeah. Which brings us to the one we're going to finish on now, which
Yeah.
is a lovely version of The Isle of Innisfree, and of course, beautiful scenery along with this song as well.
That's right. It was filmed on the Shannon on Lough Derg, and it's a special song for me because it was the song that was in The Quiet Man, and Maureen O'Hara, whom I always had loved. I met her on her 80th birthday and presented her with her cake. And we struck up a wonderful friendship because she's a dub as well.
That's right. Yeah.
And
proud of it.
Proud and very feisty about it. She's now 94. She just had her birthday. And I presented her with her birthday cake for 14 birthdays.
Wow.
And it was a wonderful thing to do. So let's dedicate the song.
To the great Maureen O'Hara.
To the great.
And indeed to all your fans as well from around the world, Brendan. And I'm sure many of them will be looking forward to you coming back to Ireland. And just to remind viewers that Brendan has a major concert tour coming up at Christmas and well into the new year all over the country. And to take us out on the show, we have the wonderful Brendan Grace singing The Isle of Innisfree. Do join us again next week at the same time. Slán for now.
And precious things are dreams unto an exile. They take him o'er the land across the sea, especially when it happens he's an exile from that dear lovely Isle of Innisfree. And when the moonlight peeps across the rooftops of those great cities scarcely feel its wonder or its laughter. I'm once again back home in Innisfree. I wander o'er green hills, through dreamy valleys, to find the peace no other land could know. I hear the birds make music fit for angels, and watch the rivers laughing as they flow. And then into a humble shack I wander